They told you it's the reward for hard work. They told you it's what you deserve. They told you that a life of ease, convenience, and minimal resistance is the ultimate achievement of modern civilization. Look around. Everyone is chasing it. The ergonomic chair, the one-click purchase, the algorithm that predicts what you want before you know you want it, the mattress engineered for perfect sleep, the streaming service with infinite content, the food delivered to your door in 30 minutes, the app that does everything so you don't have to do anything. And you bought it, all of it. But here's what they didn't tell you. Comfort is not a reward. Comfort is a weapon, and you are not the one wielding it. 75 years ago, Aldous Huxley wrote a novel so prophetic that it reads less like fiction and more like a blueprint. In Brave New World, he described a society that didn't need chains, prisons, or secret police to control its population. It controlled them with pleasure, with ease, with a drug called Soma that made everyone numb, docile, and perfectly content in their servitude. You thought it was a warning. It was an instruction manual. Today, we're going to dismantle the most comfortable lie you've ever been told. We're going to expose the architecture of your addiction. We're going to show you how every convenience you celebrate is a capacity you surrender, how every friction removed from your life is a piece of your autonomy extracted. This is not about rejecting technology or living in the woods. This is about understanding that comfort, when weaponized, becomes the most effective prison ever designed. Because unlike bars and walls, you defend it, you pay for it, you beg for more of it. Once you see this mechanism, you cannot unsee it. There is no going back to blissful ignorance. The Soma haze will lift, and you'll realize you've been sedated your entire life. Most people will watch this and change nothing. They'll nod along, feel a brief moment of recognition, then scroll to the next dopamine hit. The system depends on this. It depends on you knowing, but not acting. You are living in the Soma state. You just don't call it that. In Huxley's world, Soma was a drug that eliminated pain, stress, and discomfort instantly. Feel anxious? Take Soma. Feel sad? Take Soma. Feel the burden of thought? Take Soma. It was perfect, legal, encouraged by the state, and it made people completely incapable of resistance because they were too blissful to notice they were slaves. You don't have Soma. You have something better. You have Netflix, DoorDash, Amazon Prime, Instagram, TikTok, climate control, memory foam, noise-canceling headphones, infinite entertainment, instant gratification, algorithmic curation of reality itself. Every single one is Soma. Every single one is designed to eliminate friction, delay, discomfort, boredom, effort. And just like Soma, you don't see them as control mechanisms. You see them as progress, as convenience, as your right. But convenience is just another word for dependency. Think about your day. How many times did you encounter resistance and immediately reach for the digital Soma? Bored for 3 seconds, scroll. Hungry, tap. Lonely, swipe. Uncertain what to watch, the algorithm decides. Uncertain what to think, the feed tells you. You are not making choices, you are accepting prescriptions. Huxley wrote, "A really efficient totalitarian state would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses and their army of managers control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude." Read that again. Slaves who love their servitude. You love your subscriptions. You love your convenience. You love the fact that you never have to be uncomfortable, uncertain, or bored. You have been conditioned to interpret the absence of discomfort as happiness, but what you call happiness is just the absence of withdrawal symptoms. The Soma state doesn't need to force you into compliance. It just needs to make compliance more comfortable than resistance. And it has. Every year the friction decreases. Every year the effort required to exist diminishes. Every year you outsource more of your thinking, deciding, and doing to systems designed to keep you sedated. Here's the mechanism. Discomfort is a signal. Pain, boredom, hunger, uncertainty, these are not enemies, they are information. They tell you something needs attention, something needs to change, something needs to be built, solved, or endured. But when you medicate every signal instantly, you never develop the capacity to process it, you never build tolerance, you never build strength. You become like a muscle that is never stressed. It atrophies, it weakens, eventually it cannot function without assistance. This is not an accident, this is the design. You must understand, every time you choose the easy option, the comfortable option, the frictionless option, you are making a transaction. You are trading a piece of your capability for a piece of convenience, and the system is very happy to make that trade, because incapable people are controllable people. Huxley saw this. He saw that the future tyrant would not be a man with a boot on your neck, it would be a system with a pillow under your head, and you would thank it. Stop thanking it. This brings us to something most people never consider: the economics of ease. Every app, every service, every product in your life is competing for one thing: to make your life easier, to remove steps, to reduce effort, to eliminate delay. They frame this as customer service, as innovation, as caring about your experience. But let me ask you, why? Why does every corporation on earth want to make your life effortless? Out of the goodness of their hearts? No, because effortless customers are dependent customers, and dependent customers are permanent customers. Think about it economically. If you know how to cook, you are not dependent on restaurants or delivery services. If you know how to navigate, you are not dependent on GPS. If you know how to entertain yourself, you are not dependent on streaming platforms. If you know how to think critically, you are not dependent on algorithmic feeds to tell you what to believe. Every skill you possess is a market you exit. Every skill you surrender is a market you enter. And the system knows this, so it doesn't just offer you convenience, it actively erodes your capacity to function without it. It makes the manual option harder to find. It makes the DIY route socially unacceptable. It makes self-sufficiency seem inefficient, outdated, or extreme. You used to know how to read a map. Now you panic if GPS cuts out. You used to know how to cook a meal from ingredients. Now you scroll through delivery apps. You used to know how to sit with your own thoughts. Now 30 seconds without a screen feels like sensory deprivation. This is not progress. This is outsourcing. And what you are outsourcing is your agency. Huxley understood this trade perfectly. In his world, people didn't need to know how to do anything because the system did everything for them. They were kept in a state of infantilized dependency, and they loved it. Because dependency, when cushioned by comfort, doesn't feel like weakness, it feels like luxury. But here's the economic reality. The more you outsource, the less you own. Not just in terms of skills, in terms of autonomy. Every time you let the algorithm choose your music, your shows, your news, you surrender a piece of decision-making sovereignty. Every time you let the app handle your schedule, your navigation, your social interactions, you surrender a piece of cognitive sovereignty. And the beautiful part, you pay for this. You literally subscribe to your own domestication. The system doesn't have to take your freedom by force. It just has to make freedom inconvenient. It just has to make dependence comfortable, and you will choose it yourself. You will defend it. You will mock the people who resist it as Luddites, as paranoid, as trying too hard. As Huxley observed, most human beings have an almost infinite capacity for taking things for granted. You take your apps for granted, your automation for granted, your algorithmic curation for granted. You think they're neutral tools. They are not. They are substitutes, and every substitute you accept is an ability you lose. The goal is not to reject all technology. The goal is to recognize the transaction, to understand that every time you choose ease, you are choosing a smaller version of yourself, and to ask, is this trade worth it? Because the system will keep offering. It will keep removing friction. It will keep making everything easier, faster, softer, and if you accept every offer, you will wake up one day completely incapable of functioning without permission, assistance, or subscription. You will be free range, but you will not be free. Now we arrive at the biological reality that nobody wants to hear, the Atrophy Principle. Your body obeys one law above all others: use it or lose it. This is not philosophy, this is physiology. Muscles that are not stressed deteriorate, bones that are not loaded weaken, neural pathways that are not activated prune themselves away. Your biology does not care about your comfort, it cares about efficiency, and anything you don't use becomes a waste of resources. This applies to everything: your muscles, your mind, your character. When you stop walking, your legs weaken. When you stop reading deeply, your attention span fragments. When you stop facing difficulty, your resilience evaporates. When you stop making decisions, your judgment atrophies. When you stop enduring discomfort, your tolerance collapses. Comfort does not preserve you. Comfort decomposes you. And the terrifying part is how slow this process is. You don't notice it happening. You don't wake up one day suddenly weak. It's incremental, imperceptible. Like a frog in slowly boiling water, you adapt to your own degradation until you can't remember what capability felt like. Let me give you a mirror. 10 years ago, could you sit in silence for an hour without reaching for your phone? Could you read a book for 2 hours straight? Could you navigate an unfamiliar city without GPS? Could you cook a meal without looking up a recipe? Could you have a conversation without checking your device? And now, how long can you last? 60 seconds? 30? 10? This is atrophy. This is what happens when you outsource cognition to devices, when you outsource effort to services, when you outsource discomfort to algorithms. You don't just become dependent on them, you become incapable without them. Huxley wrote, "The optimum population is modeled on the iceberg, 8/9 below the waterline, 1/9 above." Translation: the system wants you functional enough to consume, but not capable enough to resist. It wants you just strong enough to work, but too weak to question. And the easiest way to achieve this is not through overt oppression, it's through comfort-induced atrophy. Every generation, the baseline of capability drops. Your grandparents could build a fire, fix a car, grow food, navigate by stars. Your parents could at least read a manual and figure things out. And you can swipe, click, and scroll. You have outsourced survival itself to systems you do not understand and cannot maintain. This is not an insult, this is an observation, and it's not your fault, it's the design. The system has spent decades removing every possible source of friction, effort, and challenge from your life. It has made you comfortable, and in doing so, it has made you weak. Here's what most people don't realize: strength is not built in comfort, it is built in resistance. Mental strength is built by thinking through difficult problems, not outsourcing them to Google. Physical strength is built by stressing muscles, not avoiding exertion. Emotional strength is built by enduring discomfort, not medicating it instantly. But you have been conditioned to avoid all resistance, to see discomfort as a problem to be solved, not a signal to be engaged, to see difficulty as a failure of optimization, not an opportunity for growth. And so you atrophy, quietly, completely, until you are functionally dependent on systems you cannot control. The path forward is not more comfort, it is deliberate discomfort. It is choosing the harder option on purpose. It is reintroducing friction into your life to rebuild what has been lost. But this requires something almost nobody has anymore: the willingness to be uncomfortable. And that brings us to the darkest layer of this mechanism. You didn't choose this addiction, you were groomed into it. This is the manufactured consent, the psychological architecture that makes you desire your own sedation, that makes you defend the very systems that domesticate you, that makes you mock anyone who questions the comfort you worship. Let me show you how it works. From birth, You were taught that comfort equals success, that the goal of education is a comfortable job, that the goal of work is a comfortable home, that the goal of life is a comfortable retirement. Comfort was framed as the ultimate achievement, as the reward for playing by the rules. But here's the trick. Comfort was never the goal. Compliance was the goal. Comfort was just the anesthetic that made compliance tolerable. Think about your education. You were taught to sit still, be quiet, follow instructions, memorize answers, pass tests, and never question the curriculum. You were rewarded for obedience and punished for deviation. The entire system was designed to produce compliant workers, not independent thinkers. And how was this made acceptable? Comfort, air-conditioned classrooms, cushioned seats, simplified lessons, participation trophies, grade inflation, everything designed to make the domestication process as painless as possible. Then you enter the workforce, same pattern, follow the procedures, meet the quotas, stay within the guidelines, don't make waves. And in exchange, you get the comfortable salary, the comfortable benefits, the comfortable illusion of security. And how is this made acceptable? Comfort, ergonomic chairs, casual Fridays, free coffee, ping pong tables, unlimited PTO that you'll never take. Everything designed to make the extraction of your life force feel like a perk. Huxley nailed it. The secret of happiness and virtue, liking what you've got to do. All conditioning aims at that, making people like their unescapable social destiny. You were conditioned to like your cage, to see the bars as amenities, to confuse sedation with satisfaction. And the most brilliant part of the system, it made you the enforcer of your own prison. You don't need external guards when you have internalized the warden. You police yourself. You choose the comfortable option because choosing discomfort feels stupid, inefficient, or performative. You mock people who reject convenience as pretentious or trying too hard. You defend the systems that sedate you because admitting their sedation would mean admitting you've been complicit. This is not weakness. This is brilliant psychological engineering. The system doesn't force you to be comfortable. It makes you ashamed of discomfort. It makes difficulty seem like failure. It makes effort seem like poor optimization. It makes resistance seem like paranoia. And so you volunteer. You pay for your subscriptions. You update your apps. You upgrade to the more convenient model. You streamline your life into total dependence. And you call this progress. But let me ask you something. If comfort is so fulfilling, why are anxiety and depression rates at all-time highs? If convenience is so liberating, why does everyone feel trapped? If ease is so satisfying, why is everyone medicating themselves into numbness with actual drugs, alcohol, porn, endless scrolling? Because deep down, you know that this isn't what you were built for. You know that humans are designed to struggle, to overcome, to adapt, to grow. You know that comfort without challenge is not peace, it's stagnation. But the system has convinced you that this feeling is the problem, that you need more therapy, more medication, more self-care, more comfort to fix the discomfort caused by too much comfort. It's a perfect loop. The disease prescribes itself as the cure. Huxley saw this too. What we love, we become. You love comfort, and you have become comfortable, soft, dependent, incapable of functioning outside the climate-controlled, algorithm-curated, frictionless bubble you've constructed. And the system loves you for it, because you are the perfect citizen, productive enough to generate value, but weak enough to never threaten the structure. You must break this loop, but breaking it requires something almost extinct, the courage to be uncomfortable on purpose. Here is the Withdrawal Protocol, the architecture for detoxification. You cannot escape the Soma State by accident. You cannot drift into autonomy. You must choose it, deliberately, repeatedly, against every instinct the system has programmed into you. This is not about becoming a primitivist or rejecting all technology. This is about rebuilding capacity, about reintroducing friction deliberately to stress the muscles of autonomy that have atrophied. Start here, discomfort training. Every day, choose one thing that is harder than it needs to be. Take the stairs instead of the elevator, cook instead of ordering, walk instead of driving, read instead of scrolling, sit in silence instead of filling every second with noise. These seem trivial. They are not. They are reps. They are deliberate practice in tolerating discomfort, and tolerance builds capacity. Next, audit your dependencies. Make a list of every single thing you cannot do without assistance, cannot navigate without GPS, cannot cook without recipes, cannot sleep without melatonin, cannot focus without stimulants, cannot be alone without devices. Now, pick one. Learn to do it manually. Reacquire the skill. Rebuild the capacity. Exit the market. This will feel inefficient. It will feel stupid. You will be tempted to rationalize why the convenient option is actually better. Resist this. The goal is not efficiency. The goal is sovereignty. Third, create friction zones. Design parts of your life where convenience is not allowed. No phone in the bedroom. No delivery on weekends. No streaming before 8 p.m. No algorithm-curated content on certain days. These zones force you to engage with reality unmediated, to make decisions without suggestions, to solve problems without outsourcing, to be bored and deal with it. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the birthplace of creativity, introspection, and agency. The system has made you terrified of it because bored people think and thinking people question. Fourth, embrace voluntary adversity. Fast occasionally, not for health reasons, for mental discipline. Take cold showers, not because they're optimal, because they're uncomfortable. Do hard physical work, not because it's efficient, because it reminds you that you're capable. Every act of voluntary discomfort is a declaration of independence. It says, I am not a pleasure-seeking automaton. I am not controlled by the path of least resistance. I choose difficulty because it makes me stronger. Huxley wrote, actual happiness always looks pretty squalid in comparison with the overcompensations for misery. Translation, real fulfillment is messy, difficult, and uncomfortable. The sanitized, curated, frictionless version you've been sold is a simulation, and you know this because it doesn't satisfy. It never does. That's why you keep consuming more of it. Fifth, find others who are awake. The Soma State depends on isolation, on everyone believing that everyone else is perfectly comfortable, so questioning comfort makes you the weird one. You are not the weird one. You are the one who noticed. And there are others. They are rare, but they exist. People who have rejected the sedation, people who have chosen the harder path, people who understand that sovereignty requires sacrifice. Build with them, learn from them, support them, because the system will try to pull you back. It will offer you convenience. It will make resistance exhausting. And if you are alone, you will break. Finally, accept the cost. Choosing discomfort in a comfort-addicted world means you will be misunderstood. People will think you're trying too hard, that you're being performative, that you're making things unnecessarily difficult. Let them think that. They are still sedated. You cannot explain sobriety to someone high on Soma. You will be called cold for not engaging with social media. You will be called paranoid for questioning algorithms. You will be called extreme for rejecting convenience. Good. These are not insults. These are confirmations that you are no longer part of the herd. As Huxley observed, the actual heresy was common sense. Common sense says, choose comfort, choose ease, choose the path of least resistance. Common sense is programming. You are no longer running that software. You've now seen the 5 layers: the Soma State, the economics of ease, the Atrophy Principle, the manufactured consent, the Withdrawal Protocol. You understand that comfort is not neutral, that every convenience is a transaction, that every friction removed is a capacity surrendered, that you have been conditioned to love your own domestication, and that breaking free requires deliberate, sustained discomfort. So now you have a choice. You can close this video and return to the sedation. You can go back to your apps, your algorithms, your infinite entertainment, your climate-controlled existence. You can choose the soft path. Nobody will judge you. In fact, everyone will understand. Comfort is seductive, and the system makes it so easy to stay asleep. Or you can accept what you now know. You can acknowledge that you have been living in a voluntary prison, that you have traded autonomy for ease, that you have become dependent on systems designed to keep you weak, and you can begin the brutal work of rebuilding capacity. This path is not comfortable, it is not easy, it will not be celebrated. You will do hard things while everyone around you does easy things. You will sit in silence while everyone else scrolls. You will cook while everyone else orders. You will think while everyone else consumes. You will be alone in a crowd of sedated people, and that loneliness is the price of consciousness. But here is what you gain. You become ungovernable, not in a political sense, in an existential sense. You are no longer controlled by your need for comfort, no longer dependent on systems you cannot control, no longer one algorithm tweak away from complete dysfunction. You build sovereignty, real sovereignty, not the fantasy version sold in self-help books, the hard-won, uncomfortable daily practice version that comes from choosing difficulty over ease. Huxley's final warning: the real hopeless victims of mental illness are to be found among those who appear to be most normal. Many of them are normal because they are so well adjusted to our mode of existence, because their human voice has been silenced so early in their lives that they do not even struggle or suffer or develop symptoms as the neurotic does. The normal people are the sick ones. The comfortable people are the imprisoned ones. The well-adjusted people are the domesticated ones. If you're still watching this, you are not normal. You have seen the mechanism. You cannot unsee it. Every time you reach for the convenient option, you will feel the transaction happening. Every time you outsource a decision, you will feel the capacity draining. Every time you choose comfort, you will know what you're surrendering. This awareness is irreversible. Ignorance has been destroyed. Now you are responsible for what you know. Most people will watch this and do nothing. They will feel a brief spark of recognition, maybe a moment of discomfort, and then they will return to their feeds, their apps, their routines. The system depends on this. It depends on people knowing but not acting, on awareness without execution. Information without action is just entertainment. Knowing you're sedated while continuing to consume Soma is not consciousness, it's spectator sport. So here's the real question: are you different, or are you just another consumer of provocative content who changes nothing? What I've shared today is only the surface. This is the public-facing layer. These are the truths that are safe to speak in the open. But there are deeper layers. There are psychological architectures, historical patterns, and systematic mechanisms that we will explore in future videos. There are techniques of resistance that go beyond what most people are prepared to hear. If you're still here, you are not like the others. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Each video is another step in the architecture of sovereignty. Each one strips away another layer of conditioning. Leave a comment telling me which level you're currently at. Be honest. Most people won't be. Most people will perform awareness without demonstrating it. The majority will watch and forget. The majority will know and do nothing. The majority will remain comfortable. But you are not one of them, are you?